The rhythmic thud, scrape, thud of Liam's ruined leg was the only sound in the apartment, a grim percussion marking the end of their life here. The air, thick with the smell of dust and the ghost of his wife's perfume, felt heavy in his lungs. Empty shelves stared back at him like hollow eyes, and the final eviction notice, tacked to the door, was a stark white flag of surrender. He felt the familiar, grinding ache in his hip, a constant reminder of the day the scaffolding collapsed and his world splintered. His gaze fell upon his daughter, Maya, a small lump under a thin blanket on the floor, her 7-year-old face serene in sleep, blissfully unaware that her home was no longer hers. A wave of cold dread washed over him, a feeling more chilling than the bare floorboards beneath his worn socks. He ran a hand over his tired face, the rough stubble scratching his palm. He was 42, a widower, a cripple, and now officially homeless. His heart didn't just ache, it felt like a lead weight in his chest. He sat at the rickety kitchen table, the last piece of furniture they owned, and tipped the contents of his wallet onto the scarred surface. 2 $100 bills, 1 $10, a 5, and a scattering of coins. He counted them twice, his calloused fingers clumsy. $217. The sum was an insult, a cruel joke played by a merciless fate. This was all that stood between his daughter and the street. The meager disability checks were a pittance, barely enough to cover the cheapest food, never enough to outrun the relentless creep of debt. He could still hear the sickening crack of the timber that had crushed his leg, the sound that had ended his life as a carpenter and begun this slow, agonizing descent. The memory was sharp, visceral, and it always brought the phantom pain roaring back. His stomach clenched, not from the gnawing hunger that was a constant companion, but from the raw terror of what was to come. The silence was a void, where his wife's laughter used to be. He was so alone. Liam's breath hitched as he watched Maya's small chest rise and fall in a steady, peaceful rhythm. The sheer weight of his responsibility felt like a physical force, pressing him down into the chair, threatening to shatter his already fragile composure. It had been a year, 1 whole year since Sarah had been stolen from them by an illness so sudden, so aggressive. It felt like a violent mugging of the soul. He could still smell the sterile, antiseptic air of the hospital, feel the horrifying weakness of her hand as it squeezed his for the last time. "Take care of our girl, Liam," she had whispered, her voice a dry rustle of leaves. He had promised. Now, that promise was a shard of glass twisting in his gut. A hot, acidic wave of nausea rose in his throat, and he squeezed his eyes shut against the sting of tears he refused to let fall. He was failing them both. The quiet of the room was no longer peaceful. It was a heavy, suffocating blanket, amplifying the frantic pounding of his own heart. A distant siren wailed through the night, a lonely, mournful sound that felt like an external echo of the alarm screaming inside of him. Where could they possibly go now? The question hammered at his skull with brutal repetition. A homeless shelter. He pictured the rows of cots, the smell of despair and unwashed bodies, the cacophony of coughing and quiet sobbing. The thought of exposing Maya to that reality made his skin crawl. The street was not an option. It was a death sentence. He flexed his hands, staring at the thick calluses and faint scars that crisscrossed his palms. These were the hands that had built decks, framed houses, and crafted furniture. They had once provided. Now they trembled with a humiliating impotence. The chill from the concrete floor seemed to seep directly into his bones, a physical manifestation of the icy dread that had colonized his heart. Every shadow thrown by the streetlights outside seemed to lengthen and contort, taking the shape of monstrous threats lurking just beyond the thin glass of the window. The city hummed with a life that was utterly indifferent to their plight, a vast, uncaring machine that was about to grind them up and spit them out. They were just 2 more broken pieces. "Maya, sweet pea, it's time to wake up." Liam's voice was a rough whisper, thick with a lie he could barely stomach. He gently shook her shoulder, and her eyes fluttered open, clouded with sleep and confusion. That innocent look was a dagger to his heart. "We're going on an adventure," he said, forcing a smile that felt like a grimace. He helped her into her thin, worn-out coat, the fabric frayed at the cuffs. With a final, agonizing glance, he scanned the empty space that had held all their memories, a home now stripped bare, haunted by the ghosts of laughter and love. He felt his throat tighten. He lifted their single, battered suitcase, the handle digging into his palm. The strain sent a fresh spike of pain shooting up his leg from his hip to his ankle. Each step toward the door was a fresh wave of agony, a symphony of physical and emotional torment. The sharp click of the lock, turning for the last time behind them, sounded like a judge's gavel. They were on the landing, alone, with $217 and the vast, cold city night ahead. He had failed. He was broken, but the small, trusting hand that slipped into his was his only reason to keep going. For 3 days, they bled money in a motel room that smelled of stale cigarette smoke and bleach. The $217 had shriveled to less than $80. Each meal from the Greasy Spoon diner next door felt like an act of financial suicide. Liam lay on the lumpy bed, the rhythmic thud of his own heart, a countdown to ruin, when a thin envelope was pushed under their door. It was forwarded from their old address, his name written in a crisp as unfamiliar hand. He felt a flicker of annoyance. What bill collector had tracked them here? But opening it, his eyes snagged on the letterhead of a law firm in some town he'd never heard of. A cold knot of anxiety formed in his stomach. Legal trouble was the last thing he could afford. He scanned the dense text, his breath catching on a single, impossible word: inheritance. A great uncle, a man he couldn't even place in his memory, had died and left him something, a property, a small wooden house. The words swam before his eyes. Unreal, a house. He read the letter again, and then a third time, his calloused fingers tracing the typed words, as if to confirm they were real. A wave of something he hadn't felt in a year, something warm and dangerous, began to spread through his chest. Hope. It was a fragile, unfamiliar sensation. The lawyer's dry prose described a small parcel of land and a modest dwelling in a remote, rural area. It wasn't a fortune, not a winning lottery ticket, but it was a roof, a solid, physical structure that wasn't a motel or a shelter. It was theirs. The word echoed in the silent, shabby room. Theirs. He looked over at Maya, who was quietly coloring on a napkin with a broken crayon, and the hope intensified, burning away some of the cold dread that had taken up permanent residence in his soul. This was it. This was the lifeline he'd been praying for. A sign from the universe, from Sarah, that they were not forgotten. He felt his throat tighten, not with despair, but with a raw, overwhelming gratitude. They had a place to go, a real home. The decision was instant, absolute. There was no other choice. That afternoon, Liam spent nearly all their remaining money on 2 one-way bus tickets. As he handed the cash to the clerk, he felt a terrifying finality, a sense of jumping from a cliff, praying the inheritance was the safety net it promised to be. The bus ride was a long, rattling journey away from the life they knew. The concrete maze of the city gave way to sprawling suburbs, then to endless fields of corn and soy, a vast green and gold tapestry under a hazy sky. Maya was mesmerized, her small face pressed against the grimy window. "Look, Daddy, a cow!" she'd exclaim, her voice a beacon of pure joy in the stale, diesel-scented air. Liam managed a real smile, the muscles in his face feeling stiff from disuse. He felt the constant, dull throb in his leg, a familiar companion on this pilgrimage to their new beginning. He clutched the deed and the simple hand-drawn map the lawyer had sent, the papers feeling like a sacred text in his trembling hands. The hours bled together, a monotonous blur of rumbling engine and passing scenery. Liam drifted in and out of a light, fitful sleep, his head resting against the vibrating window. Each time he woke, a jolt of panic shot through him, instantly soothed by the crinkle of the papers in his pocket. "It's real. We have a home." He replayed the words in his mind, a mantra against the encroaching doubt. The other passengers were strangers, their faces weary and anonymous, each lost in their own world. He and Maya were just 2 more souls in transit, seeking refuge. Finally, the bus driver called out their stop, a name that meant nothing to them. Hollis Creek Crossroads. The bus hissed to a halt in the middle of nowhere, a dusty intersection with a single sun-bleached stop sign. They were the only ones to get off. As the bus pulled away, its red taillights shrinking into the distance, it left them enveloped in a profound and unnerving silence, broken only by the chirping of unseen insects. They were completely alone. The map indicated a 2-mile walk down a dirt road. Liam hefted the heavy suitcase in one hand, took Maya's in the other, and started walking, his limp more pronounced on the uneven ground. The sun was relentless, beating down on the back of his neck. The air was thick with the smell of dust and dry grass. Sweat soaked the collar of his shirt, and the pain in his hip sharpened with every step. The suitcase, containing all their worldly possessions, felt like it was filled with lead. Maya, though tired, trotted along gamely, her small steps a testament to a child's endless reservoir of trust. "Are we almost there, Daddy?" she asked, her voice small in the vast emptiness. "Almost there, sweet pea," he lied, his own hope beginning to fray around the edges. The road stretched on me, a dusty brown ribbon disappearing into the shimmering heat. There were no cars, no other people, no signs of life beyond the birds circling high overhead. The isolation was a physical weight, pressing in on them from all sides. Then, through a break in the trees, he saw it, and the fragile flame of hope that he had so carefully nurtured for 2 days was instantly, brutally extinguished. It wasn't a house. It was a shack, a derelict, skeletal ruin that seemed to be held up only by sheer force of habit. It leaned tiredly to one side, like an old man with a broken hip. The wood wasn't the warm brown he had pictured, but a sickly, mottled grey, streaked with black patches of rot and mildew. Patches of the roof were simply gone, leaving dark, gaping wounds open to the sky. A cold, heavy sickness churned in Liam's stomach. This couldn't be it. It was a mistake, a cruel joke. But the gnarled oak tree described on the map stood beside it, a silent, ancient witness to this profound betrayal. He stopped walking, his breath catching in his throat. He had spent their last dollar, dragged his daughter across the state, for this, for a tomb. The silence was no longer peaceful, it was mocking. The sound of his own ragged breathing was deafening. He forced his legs to move, to close the final 100 yards. The walk felt like a death march. As they got closer, the smell hit them. It was a putrid combination of decay, wet earth, and the unmistakable sour stench of animal droppings. The air was heavy, stagnant, clinging to the inside of his nostrils. He felt Maya's hand tighten in his, her small fingers digging into his palm. He wanted to turn around, to run, but there was nowhere to run to. Their escape route was gone, vanished with the bus that had abandoned them. He stared at the broken front steps, at the porch that sagged so dangerously. It seemed a strong breeze would tear it from the main structure. A feeling of absolute despair, colder and deeper than any he had felt in the empty apartment, washed over him. He had led his child to a place that was not just poor, but actively hostile to life. He had traded a desperate situation for an impossible one. His heart, which had dared to feel a flicker of warmth, now felt like a block of ice. With a deep, shuddering breath, Liam put one foot on the first step of the porch. The wood let out a long, agonized groan and sank several inches under his weight. He froze, his heart hammering against his ribs. He tested it again, distributing his weight carefully, feeling the softer, spongy texture of the rotten timber. It was like walking on a wet sponge, a huge, sticky spiderweb, thick with dust and dead insects, broke across his face, and he recoiled with a gasp, frantically wiping the silken threads from his skin. Maya whimpered behind him. "It's okay, sweet pea," he murmured, his voice hollow. It was not okay. Nothing was okay. He reached the door, which hung crookedly on a single rusted hinge. There was no knob, just a splintered hole. He gave it a push. It swung inward with a drawn-out, piercing screech that echoed in the oppressive quiet, a sound of profound neglect. The darkness within was a solid wall, and the smell of mold that billowed out was so potent it made him gag. Stepping inside was like entering a crypt. The air was thick, suffocating, and at least 10 degrees cooler than outside. Thin beams of sunlight cut through the holes in the roof, illuminating a swirling universe of dust motes. The floorboards beneath his feet were soft and treacherous, yielding with every step. He could feel the dampness through the thin soles of his shoes. A small scurrying sound from a dark corner made him jump, and he saw the flicker of a rat's tail disappearing into a hole in the wall. The nausea rose in his throat again, hot and acidic. Maya clung to his leg, her face buried in his jeans, her body trembling uncontrollably. This was not a shelter, this was a biohazard. He scanned the single, squalid room, a rusted, pot-bellied stove slumped in one corner, its chimney pipe dangling precariously. The skeletal remains of a chair lay on its side. The walls were a nightmarish canvas of water stains and creeping black mold which seemed to pulsate in the dim light. He felt a sudden, violent rage surge through him, a rage at the long-dead great-uncle he'd never met, at the lawyer with his dry, deceitful letter, at the universe for dangling this false hope in front of him only to snatch it away. It was a cruelty beyond measure. He had nothing left. The $80 in his pocket were a joke. They were miles from a town, with no car, no phone, no way to call for help. The isolation was absolute. Here, their poverty was no longer just a lack of money. It was a cage, a rotting, stinking, wooden cage. He could feel the last vestiges of his strength draining away, replaced by a vast, hollow emptiness. He had tried. He had fought, and he had lost. He had failed his wife's dying wish. He had failed his daughter. He stumbled towards the center of the room, his bad leg finally giving out from the strain and the shock. He collapsed onto the filthy, damp floor, the impact sending a jolt of pain up his spine. But the physical pain was a distant echo of the agony tearing his soul apart. He didn't make a sound. The scream was trapped in his throat, a silent, visceral howl of pure anguish. He curled in on himself, pressing his forehead against the grimy, soft wood. The smell of rot and earth filled his senses. Tears he had refused to shed in the empty apartment now burned hot behind his eyes, a flood of shame and fury. He slammed his fist into the floorboards, but the rotten wood simply gave way with a soft, unsatisfying crunch, a pathetic sound that only amplified his feeling of impotence. This was it. This was the bottom, a place far lower than he had ever imagined. They had gone from being homeless in a city full of resources to being trapped in a wilderness with nothing but a collapsing shack that was more likely to kill them than shelter them. The hope he had carried was a poison, and now it had finished its work, leaving him utterly destroyed. He was a fool, a desperate, broken fool who had gambled his daughter's life on a ghost story. The silence in the shack was thick and heavy. Maya, who had been so frightened, slowly let go of his leg. Liam, lost in his own despair, barely noticed. He heard her small footsteps moving across the floor. He lifted his head, his vision blurred with unshed tears, and saw her in the dim light. She had walked to the least damaged corner of the room, her small face set with a strange, solemn determination. With her tiny hands, she began to carefully push aside the debris, bits of plaster, dried leaves, and dirt, clearing a small patch of the floor. She wasn't crying. She wasn't complaining. She was trying to make a space for them, to make a home. The sight was a knife twisting in his already bleeding heart. Her quiet resilience, her uncomplaining acceptance, felt like the most profound accusation of all. He was the adult, the protector, and he had crumbled while his 7-year-old child was facing this nightmare with a courage he could not begin to muster. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, the light inside the shack faded from grey to near black. The temperature dropped, and a damp chill began to rise from the floor, seeping into their bones. Liam could hear the sounds of the wilderness waking up outside, the chirping of crickets, the distant hoot of an owl, the rustle of unseen things in the undergrowth. The long shadows cast by the trees through the holes in the walls stretched across the floor like grasping, skeletal fingers. He felt a primal fear creep over him, the fear of the dark, of the unknown, of being prey. He had brought them here. He had stranded them in this forgotten, dying place. The hope that had felt like a warm sunbeam just that morning had become a black hole, sucking all light and warmth from his world. He pulled Maya close, wrapping his arms around her small, shivering body, but he felt no comfort. He was just a hollow man, a failed father, trapped with his daughter in the deepening gloom. He looked around at the encroaching darkness, the monstrous shapes of the water stains on the walls, the gaping maw of the doorway. The scent of mold and decay seemed to be growing stronger, a living thing that wanted to consume them. His mind, numb with shock and grief, could only produce one thought, a single, repeating loop of despair. What have I done? There was no answer. There was no plan. The journey had ended not with a new beginning, but with a final crushing dead end. He had two choices: let the wilderness and this rotting shack claim them, or find a strength he no longer believed he possessed. As he held his daughter tighter, feeling the frantic, bird-like beat of her heart against his chest, he knew he couldn't give up. But for the life of him, staring into the absolute blackness of their situation, He had no idea how they were going to survive the night, let alone the rest of their lives. He felt his own heart contract with a pain so sharp, so deep, it felt physical. He had promised Sarah he would take care of their girl. That promise, which had been a driving force and now felt like a curse. How could he take care of her here, in this death trap, miles from civilization, with no food, no clean water, and no shelter worthy of the name? He felt a tremor run through his body, a shudder that was born of cold, hunger, and sheer, undiluted terror. The last of the sun's glow vanished from the holes in the roof, plunging them into an almost total darkness. The sounds outside grew louder, more alien. He imagined Thorne and his lawyer, safe in their warm, well-lit homes, and a bitter, impotent hatred curdled in his gut. They had set this trap, knowingly or not. They had lured him here with a lie. He ran a hand over Maya's hair, his touch clumsy with despair. He had to do something. He had to be the father she believed he was. But as he looked around the pitch-black, fetid room, the sheer scale of their predicament was paralyzing. He was at the bottom of a well, and he had forgotten how to climb. The first few days were a blur of grim, Sisyphean labor. Liam, using his carpenter's eye, identified the most dangerous sections of the shack. He found a small, rusted toolbox left behind, containing a hammer and some bent nails. He scavenged warped planks from the collapsed porch and nailed them over the largest holes in the roof, his bad legs screaming in protest with every climb on the rickety chair. The work was agonizingly slow. Each swing of the hammer sent a jolt of pain through his hip, and by noon his shirt would be soaked with sweat, his body aching with a profound weariness that went bone deep. He felt the cold hand of hunger constantly at his belly. The few cans of beans he'd bought with their last dollars were a meager defense against starvation. At night, he and Maya would huddle together under their single thin blanket, listening to the unnerving symphony of the wilderness and the slow, ominous drip, drip, drip of water finding its way through his shoddy repairs. The damp chill felt like it was settling permanently into his marrow. For Maya, the world had shrunk to a single, mold-infested corner of the room. After the initial shock, a quiet, solemn resilience had taken over. Liam had cleared a small space for her, laying down his own coat as a pathetic mattress against the damp floorboards. This became her kingdom. She spent hours there, her face a mask of concentration, running her small fingers over the patterns of water stains on the wall, as if trying to decipher a secret language. She seemed to have retreated into an inner world, one where the horrifying reality of their situation couldn't fully penetrate. Liam watched her, his heart a tight, painful knot of love and guilt. He had done this to her. He had brought her to this place of decay, and she was adapting with a strength he felt he had completely lost. The air was constantly thick with the smell of mildew, a scent he knew they were breathing into their lungs with every passing second, a slow-acting poison he was powerless to stop. One afternoon, while Liam was outside attempting to secure a loose window frame with twine, he heard a strange, rhythmic sound from inside. Scrape, scrape, tap. He limped back to the doorway and peered into the gloom. Maya was using a sharp-edged piece of wood to scrape away the fuzzy black mold from the wall behind her small sleeping space. It was a child's instinctive act of cleaning, of trying to impose order on chaos. He felt a surge of pride, quickly followed by a wave of despair at the futility of her task. He was about to tell her to stop, to not touch the disgusting growth, when the sound changed. Scrape, scrape, tap, a solid, dull thud, and then, boom, a distinctly different sound, hollow and resonant, echoed for a fraction of a second in the small shack. Maya stopped, her head tilted. She knocked again with her piece of wood. Boom! Her eyes widened. The sound was a stark contrast to the dead, solid thuds from the surrounding planks. "Daddy," she whispered, her voice filled with a conspiratorial awe. "There's something in the wall." Liam sighed, the weariness washing over him again. He was in no mood for games. "It's just old wood, sweet pea. The whole house makes funny noises." He tried to force a reassuring smile, but it felt like a crack in a plaster mask. "No," she insisted, her voice gaining strength. She knocked again, harder this time. Boom. "Listen, it's empty." She looked at him, her eyes pleading for him to believe her, to share in this small mystery. For a moment, he saw not the squalor of their surroundings, but the pure, undiluted light of a child's imagination. He knew he couldn't extinguish it. It was perhaps the only light they had left. He felt a pang in his chest, the familiar ache of a father's love, a feeling strong enough to momentarily push back the tide of his hopelessness. It was a game, he told himself, but it was a game she needed him to play. He limped over, his bad leg dragging on the grimy floor. He knelt beside her, the dampness of the wood seeping through the knee of his worn jeans. The smell of mold was overpowering up close, earthy and foul. "Okay, show me," he said, his voice softer now. She pointed to a section of vertical planks, indistinguishable from the rest. "Here." He leaned in, his ear close to the wall, and knocked with his own knuckles. Thud, thud. And then, as his knuckles crossed an invisible line, the sound changed dramatically. Boom. It was undeniably hollow. A jolt, like a low-voltage electrical current, shot up his arm. It wasn't a game. He felt the hairs on the back of his neck prickle. His exhaustion was momentarily forgotten, replaced by a sharp, focused curiosity. He ran his calloused fingers over the planks, feeling for a seam, a latch, anything. There was nothing, just old rotten wood, seamlessly joined. But the hollow sound was real. It was a clear, unambiguous anomaly in the structure of the wall. What could it be? A collapsed section, a space for old plumbing that was never installed. His mind, once a carpenter's library of blueprints and structural knowledge, began to race. It didn't make sense. In a shack this small, this crudely built house, every inch of space would have been utilized. A hidden cavity was a deliberate choice, an act of construction that required more effort than the rest of the house combined. He felt a flicker of something he hadn't felt since he read the lawyer's letter, a surge of adrenaline. But this wasn't the false hope of an inheritance. This was the tangible, physical mystery of a hollow wall. He looked at Maya, who was watching him with wide, expectant eyes. He had to know what was behind it. The question was a sudden, urgent need, a sharp point of focus in the dull fog of his despair. He saw a piece of charred wood from the pot-bellied stove lying on the floor. He picked it up and handed it to Maya. "Here," he said, his voice a low whisper. "Show me where the door is." A huge smile broke across her face. With the solemnity of a master artist, she took the charcoal and drew a wobbly but distinct rectangle around the hollow-sounding planks. "It's my secret door, Daddy," she announced proudly. The black lines on the grey, mold-streaked wood looked like a portal to another world. Liam stared at it, his heart beginning to beat a little faster. A secret door. The phrase echoed in his mind, for the first time in a long time. The future held a question more compelling than simply, how will we survive? The question now was far more intriguing. What was someone trying to hide? That night, sleep was impossible. Long after Maya had drifted off, her soft breathing a steady rhythm in the dark, Liam lay awake, staring at the charcoal rectangle that was barely visible in the faint moonlight filtering through the roof. The hollow sound replayed in his mind. The feeling of the empty space behind the wood was a persistent itch he couldn't scratch. The despair that had crushed him upon arrival had not vanished, but it now had a companion, a powerful, gnawing curiosity. It was a dangerous feeling, he knew. It was a form of hope, and hope had already proven to be a cruel master. But this was different. This wasn't a promise from a stranger. It was a secret whispered by the house itself, a secret he had the tools to unlock. He felt the cold and hard weight of the crowbar, which he had placed beside their makeshift bed, a silent promise to himself. He couldn't wait any longer. Carefully, so as not to wake Maya, he slipped out from under the blanket. The floorboards creaked under his weight as he stood, the sound unnaturally loud in the profound silence. He grabbed the crowbar, its familiar weight in his hand, a small comfort, a connection to the capable man he used to be. He moved to the wall, his shadow a looming giant cast by the moon. He took a deep, steadying breath, the cold, musty air filling his lungs. He felt a tremor of anticipation, a feeling both thrilling and terrifying. He wedged the flattened tip of the crowbar into a thin crack between two of the planks, right at the corner of Maya's charcoal rectangle. He put his weight into it, leveraging his shoulder and the last of his strength. The old wood resisted, groaning in protest. With a sudden, splintering crack, the seal broke. The sound was like a gunshot in the dead of night. Liam froze, his heart hammering against his ribs, his eyes darting to Maya. She stirred, murmured something in her sleep, but didn't wake. He let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. A surge of adrenaline made his hands tremble. He worked more carefully now, using the crowbar to gently pry the plank away from its ancient nails. The wood was soft, pulpy with rot in some places, but it held together. Another groan, a screech of rusted metal, and the first plank came free. He set it silently on the floor. Behind it was not the lath and plaster he expected, not insulation, but a solid wall of darkness. A deep, impenetrable void that seemed to swallow the faint moonlight. A shiver, completely unrelated to the cold, traced its way down his spine. This was no simple cavity. This was intentional. He worked faster now, his movements fueled by a feverish urgency. He pried away the second plank, then a third, his breath coming in short, sharp bursts. The pain in his hip was a distant, ignored signal. His entire being was focused on the widening patch of blackness. As he pulled the fourth and final plank free, the opening was complete. It was a doorway, a crudely cut, narrow opening, no taller than his chest, that had been deliberately concealed behind the wall. There was no knob, no handle, just a flush-fitting door made of the same dark, aged wood. His heart was pounding a frantic rhythm against his sternum. Maya's game was real. He had found her secret door. He hesitated for only a second. The fear of what could be inside, animals' armor collapse, something worse, was eclipsed by the absolute necessity of knowing. He put his fingers to the edge and pulled. The door resisted, swollen shut by decades of damp and disuse. He jammed the crowbar into the seam and heaved. With a long, drawn-out screech of tortured wood, the door swung inward, scraping against the floor of the space beyond. A gust of air, ancient and undisturbed for what must have been half a century, washed over him. It was the driest thing he had smelled since arriving, a scent of profound stillness, of bone-dry dust, brittle paper, and the faint, chemical tang of old ink. It was the smell of a tomb, a time capsule. He felt the weight of the years that had passed since this door was last opened. He fumbled for the small, cheap flashlight he kept in his pocket, its beam weak and yellow. He clicked it on and pointed it into the darkness. The light cut through the thick, stagnant air, illuminating a small, dust-choked chamber, no bigger than a walk-in closet. In the center of the room sat a small, simple wooden desk and a single, straight-backed chair. Everything, the floor, the desk, the chair, was coated in a thick, velvety blanket of grey dust, a perfect, undisturbed layer that had settled over decades. It was like looking at a photograph from the distant past. The sight stole the breath from his lungs. This was not just a hidden space, it was a preserved moment, a secret deliberately and carefully sealed away from the world. He felt as if he were an archaeologist breaking the seal on a pharaoh's tomb. His hand, holding the flashlight, trembled, making the beam dance across the scene. His eyes were drawn to the surface of the desk. Through the thick layer of dust, he could make out the shapes of two objects. One was large and rectangular, a book of some kind. The other was a bundle of what looked like paper scrolls. A cold knot of dread and excitement formed in the pit of his stomach. This was the heart of the secret. This was what the hollow wall and the hidden door were built to protect. He took a hesitant step into the room, his boot leaving a stark, clean print in the deep dust on the floor. The air was so still that the dust his movement stirred up hung in the flashlight beam like a ghostly nebula. He felt a sense of trespass, of intruding on something sacred and dangerous. He reached the desk, his heart pounding a deafening rhythm in his ears. He wiped his dusty hand on his jeans and reached out, his fingers hovering over the larger object. Slowly, he touched its surface. The dust was as fine as flour. He brushed it away, revealing a dark, leather-bound cover, cracked and faded with age. It was a ledger, a heavy, substantial book of the kind used for serious accounting. Next to it, he gently touched the paper scrolls. They were tied together with a faded red ribbon that had grown brittle and dark. He could see the edges of the paper were yellowed and fragile, looking as if they might disintegrate at the slightest touch. A feeling of immense gravity settled over him. This was not a personal diary. This was business. This was a record. He ran his flashlight over the ledger's spine. There was no title, no markings of any kind. It was completely anonymous. He placed his hands on either side of it and lifted. The weight was surprising, solid and dense. It felt important. He set it back down and turned his attention to the scrolls. With painstaking care, He picked up the bundle. The ribbon crumbled to dust between his fingers. He took the outermost scroll and began to unroll it. The paper crackled in the dead silence of the room, a sound like fire catching on dry leaves. He held his breath, terrified it would fall apart. But the paper, though ancient, was of high quality. He unrolled it fully. In the weak, yellow light, he saw the formal, archaic script of a legal document. He recognized the words deed and title, followed by a property description and a formal seal. A cold sweat broke out on his forehead. These were property deeds, original copies by the look of them. But why hide them here? Why seal them in a secret room? He carefully set the deed aside and reached for the heavy ledger. This, he sensed, held the answers. He opened it. The hinges creaked, and the smell of dry paper and faded ink was potent. The pages were filled, from top to bottom, with a neat, almost microscopic handwriting. It was a meticulous record. He ran the flashlight beam across the first page. There were 3 columns, a name, a date, and a dollar amount. He recognized the names. They were the names of local creeks and hills, names he had seen on the old map the lawyer had sent. He realized they were family names, surnames. The dollar amounts were shockingly low. He turned the page, and another, and another. The same pattern repeated, dozens of names, all from the early 1970s. Beside many of the entries, in the margin, were small, chilling notations. Fire in the barn. Son's accident. Threat of foreclosure. The words leaped off the page, stark and brutal in the spidery script. A horrifying picture began to form in his mind. This wasn't a record of sales. This was a record of coercion, of theft. He felt a wave of nausea, the same sickness he'd felt upon seeing the shack, but this time it was laced with a cold, terrifying understanding. He had stumbled upon a confession, the detailed, methodical account of a crime that spanned years and victimized an entire community. The low dollar amounts weren't payments. They were insults, the final twist of the knife. He kept turning pages, his hands shaking so much the flashlight beam jittered wildly. He saw lists of geological survey results, notations about mineral deposits, and the word lithium circled multiple times. The pieces slammed together in his mind with the force of a physical blow. The land wasn't worthless, it was priceless. These families had been systematically terrorized and forced off land that was secretly rich with one of the world's most valuable resources. And this book, this heavy, leather-bound ledger, was the complete and irrefutable proof. It was a detailed blueprint of how a vast fortune was built on the foundations of intimidation, violence, and theft. The air in the tiny room suddenly felt thick and hard to breathe. He was no longer just a desperate father in a ruined shack. He was the keeper of a secret that had been buried for 50 years, a secret someone would almost certainly kill to keep buried. The flashlight beam cut a weak, trembling path through the suffocating dust of the secret room. Liam hunched over the heavy ledger, his knuckles white, the dry, brittle paper crackling under his shaking fingers. Each page turned was a step deeper into a nightmare written in neat, spidery ink. The names of families, the paltry sums paid, the chillingly brief notations in the margins. Barn fire, Oct 72. Cattle sickened, water source. Son's draft notice expedited. The words were cold, clinical, and utterly monstrous. A cold dread, far deeper than the simple fear of poverty, began to seep into his very marrow, a poison delivered from half a century in the past. He felt the weight of these stolen lives settling upon his shoulders. This wasn't just a record, it was a testament to a campaign of systematic terror, meticulously documented by one of its chief architects. His heart hammered a sick, frantic rhythm against his ribs, echoing in the dead silence of the tomb-like space. This was the true inheritance. Not a shack, but a terrible, violent secret. He felt a wave of acidic nausea rise in his throat as he turned a page and saw a familiar name, his own, O'Connell. But it wasn't listed as a victim. It was the name signed at the bottom of a page summarizing transactions, the hand that had penned the horrifying margin notes. His great-uncle wasn't just aware of the scheme, he was the muscle, the enforcer, the man who delivered the threats, who lit the fires, who drove his neighbors from their homes. A profound and suffocating shame washed over Liam, so powerful it almost made him gag. He was the descendant of the monster, not the victim. The blood that ran through his veins was tainted by this legacy of violence and theft. He slammed the ledger shut, a cloud of ancient dust exploding into the air, choking him. The sound was a dull, final thud, like a coffin lid closing. He stared at the leather cover, feeling a visceral connection to the evil it contained. His own family had built their meager existence on the ruins of other people's lives. The revelation was a physical blow, leaving him breathless and hollowed out. His mind reeled, trying to process the sheer scale of the conspiracy. He frantically unrolled more of the deeds, his trembling hands barely able to manage the fragile paper. The properties described in the ledger perfectly matched the deeds hidden alongside it. And then he saw the other name, the one that appeared again and again in the ledger's financial summaries, the destination for all the ill-gotten land titles: Thorpe. Thorpe Consolidated. The name was a thunderclap in the silent room. He suddenly understood. This wasn't just a local crime, it was the foundation of an empire. The lithium deposits, merely hinted at in the surveyor's notes, must have been vast. This collection of dusty papers wasn't just the story of a crime, it was the origin story of the modern corporate giant, Thorpe Mining. He was holding a bomb, a lit fuse connected to one of the most powerful families in the state. He felt dizzy, the small room seeming to spin around him. The air grew thin, and his lungs burned with every shallow breath. The question hammered at his brain, a frantic, unanswerable query. Why? Why would his great-uncle, the brutal enforcer of this scheme, keep such a perfect, damning record of his own crimes? Was it insurance? A weapon to be used for blackmail against the Thorpes if they ever tried to cut him out? Or was it something else, something more human? A crisis of conscience in his final years, a desperate, hidden confession he was too cowardly to make while alive. The ambiguity was a form of torture. Liam felt trapped between the ghost of a man he never knew and the living threat of the corporation he had enriched. The flashlight beam began to flicker, its yellow light weakening, and Liam felt a surge of panic. The dying batteries felt like a metaphor for his own dwindling chances, his own light being swallowed by the vast darkness he had uncovered. He scrambled out of the small room, back into the main part of the shack, his heart pounding with a new, more intelligent kind of terror. He stumbled out of the secret room, just as the first pale, grey fingers of dawn began to probe through the holes in the roof. The world outside was beginning to wake, oblivious to the evil he had unearthed during the night. The chirping of birds sounded unnervingly normal, an insult to the gravity of his discovery. Liam looked around the derelict shack, but he no longer saw just rot and decay. He saw a crime scene, a mausoleum built to house a monstrous secret. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind whistling through the walls, seemed to whisper the names from the ledger. He felt a sudden, intense paranoia, a certainty that he was being watched. The ancient trees surrounding the property no longer felt like simple nature. They felt like silent, knowing sentinels, witnesses to a history he was now cursed to carry. He felt his skin crawl, and a cold sweat broke out across his forehead, the phantom sensation of unseen eyes tracking his every move. The isolation that had once felt like a punishment now felt like a temporary, fragile shield. His gaze fell on Maya, still curled asleep under the thin blanket, her face peaceful and innocent. The sight was a physical blow. The abstract danger of the ledger, the historical weight of the crime, suddenly became terrifyingly concrete and personal. This wasn't about justice for long-dead farmers anymore. It was about the sleeping child right in front of him. The Thorpes had built an empire on violence and intimidation. What would they do to a crippled, penniless man and his daughter to protect that empire? The answer was immediate and chilling. They would do anything, they would erase them. The thought made his blood run cold. His heart, which had been pounding with the thrill of discovery, now seized with the icy grip of paternal fear. The weight of his responsibility felt heavier than ever before, a physical pressure threatening to crush him. He had to protect her, but in doing so, he might have to bury the truth forever. The moral conflict was a tearing, agonizing force inside him. A frantic energy seized him. He had to hide it. He had to put the ghost back in the machine. He snatched up the ledger and the bundle of deeds, his hands shaking so violently he almost dropped them. The only place to put them was back where he found them, in the dusty, hidden chamber. He crawled back through the narrow opening, the smell of dust and old paper now smelling like death and conspiracy. He placed the items back on the desk, arranging them exactly as he had found them. It felt like a desecration, like trying to hide a body. He backed out and grabbed the loose planks. His heart hammered in his chest as he fumbled with the hammer and the bent, rusty nails. The pain in his hip was a searing, white-hot agony, but he ignored it, driven by a primal need to conceal the evidence. Each nail he pounded back into place was a compromise, a nail in the coffin of the truth. When the last plank was secured, he leaned against the wall, panting, his body trembling with exhaustion and adrenaline. It was then that he heard it. A sound so alien in the profound morning silence that it felt like an auditory hallucination. It started as a low, distant hum, a vibration felt more in his bones than heard with his ears. Then it grew, resolving itself into the unmistakable purr of a high-performance engine. A car, coming down their dirt road, a jolt of pure adrenaline, sharp and painful, shot through him, erasing all his fatigue. His blood turned to ice water in his veins. They had found him. It was impossible, but it was happening. Panic, raw and absolute, seized him. He scrambled away from the wall, his eyes darting around the squalid shack, looking for an escape that didn't exist. The sound grew louder, a confident, predatory growl that spoke of power and wealth. The crunch of expensive tires on the cheap gravel of the road was the sound of his world shrinking, of the trap closing around him. Maya stirred, woken by the noise, and her sleepy, questioning eyes looking up at him were like a fresh twist of the knife. Liam scrambled to a crack in the wall, his heart hammering against his ribs as he peered outside. A vehicle emerged from the tree line, and it was worse than he could have imagined. It was a black luxury sedan, gleaming under the morning sun as if it had just rolled off a showroom floor. Its immaculate surface was an obscene contrast to the rot and dust of its surroundings. The car purred to a stop, its engine idling with a quiet, menacing confidence. The driver's side door opened, and a man emerged. He was tall, dressed in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than Liam had earned in the last 5 years. He smoothed his jacket, his movements precise and unhurried. He had the calm, predatory aura of a wolf strolling into a sheep pen. He scanned the dilapidated shack with an expression of profound distaste, his lip curling slightly. Liam felt a primal urge to run, to grab Maya and flee into the woods, but his feet felt rooted to the damp, rotten floor. He was cornered. Forcing his legs to move, Liam limped toward the doorway, his body screaming in protest. He had to face this. He had to pretend he was just a simple man in a worthless shack. He stepped out onto the groaning porch, squinting against the bright morning light. The man in the suit turned to face him, his eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses. "Mr. O'Connell?" the man asked. His voice was as smooth and cold as polished granite, utterly devoid of warmth or emotion. Liam felt his own throat go dry, the words catching like sandpaper. "Yes," he managed to croak, the sound thin and pathetic in the open air. "My name is Arthur Vance," the man said, not offering a hand. "I'm legal counsel for Mr. Alistair Thorne and the Thorpe Mining Corporation." The names, spoken aloud in this place, felt like a physical blow. Liam's carefully constructed mask of ignorance felt paper-thin, as if the man could see right through him to the terrified, secret-keeping man beneath. Mr. Vance made a slow, deliberate show of looking at the shack, a dismissive sweep of his head that took in the gaping holes and rotting wood. "Quite the project you've inherited," he said, the corner of his mouth twitching in a smirk. "Mr. Thorne owns most of the surrounding land. He prefers his estates to be tidy. This property has been an eyesore for some time." The lawyer's words were clipped, professional, but laced with an undeniable contempt. He spoke as if Liam were not the owner, but another piece of debris to be cleared away. As Vance moved slightly closer, Liam could smell the faint, expensive scent of his cologne, a clean, citrusy aroma that was a world away from the smells of mold and poverty that clung to Liam's own clothes. The scent was an invisible wall between their two worlds, a reminder of the vast gulf of power that separated them. Every nerve in Liam's body screamed at him that this man was danger incarnate. He felt his hands clench into tight, useless fists at his sides. "To that end," Vance continued, his tone shifting to one of magnanimous generosity, "Mr. Thorne has authorized me to make you a cash offer to take this burden off your hands. He is prepared to offer you $50,000. The number dropped into the silent air between them, with the force of a physical object. $50,000. The sum was an electric shock to Liam's system. It was a fantasy. It was an escape. In his mind's eye, he saw it all in a flash. A clean apartment in a new city, a pantry full of food, new shoes for Maya, a doctor for his leg, a future. The temptation was a living thing, a siren song promising to wash away all his problems, to deliver him and his daughter from this waking nightmare. He felt his resolve, his newfound sense of duty to the past, begin to dissolve under the immense gravity of that number. A part of him, the desperate father, screamed at him to take it, to take the money and run and never look back. His heart pounded with a terrible, frantic rhythm, a war between survival and justice. Liam's silence stretched for a moment too long. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He was wrestling with the ghost in the wall, with the weight of the ledger, and the visceral, desperate need to give his daughter a life. The lawyer, Vance, watched him, his head tilted slightly. The faint, condescending smile on his face vanished, replaced by a flat, cold watchfulness. He had been expecting a quick, grateful acceptance. Liam's hesitation was an unexpected variable, an anomaly that needed to be corrected. The lawyer's eyes, still hidden behind the dark glasses, seemed to narrow. He took a slow, deliberate step closer, invading Liam's personal space. The air, which had been tense, now grew thick and heavy, charged with a new and dangerous energy. The pretense of a simple real estate transaction evaporated, leaving behind the stark, ugly reality of what this meeting was truly about. Vance knew, or he suspected, and he had come prepared for either outcome. "You have a daughter, Mr. O'Connell," Vance said, his voice dropping to a low, confidential murmur that was more menacing than any shout. He wasn't looking at Liam, but past him, toward the dark doorway of the shack where Maya was undoubtedly hiding. "It's been a dry season. This old wood," he said, gesturing with his chin toward the rotten walls. "It's like tinder. It would be a tragedy if a fire were to start. Accidents happen all the time in these remote places. It would be terrible for a little girl to be caught in something like that. Truly terrible." A shard of pure ice seemed to pierce Liam's heart. The words were not a suggestion. They were a promise. The smell of gasoline and smoke filled his imagination. The image of Maya, trapped, flashed behind his eyes. So vivid it made him physically recoil. The threat, delivered with the calm precision of a surgeon, was unmistakable. It was not the land they were threatening. It was his daughter. The lawyer gave a curt nod, as if the matter were settled. He turned without another word, his expensive shoes crunching on the dirt, and climbed back into the silent, waiting sedan. The car purred away, leaving a cloud of dust to settle in the oppressive quiet. Liam stood frozen on the porch, his entire body trembling with a volcanic mixture of rage and abject terror. The man's final words echoed in the air, a venomous vapor that clung to everything. $50,000 for his silence, a new life for his daughter, or a fiery death. He looked from the road where the car had vanished to the dark, gaping doorway of the shack, a potential home, a potential tomb. His gaze drifted to the wall where he knew the ledger lay hidden, a book of sins that demanded justice. He was trapped, utterly and completely trapped between a fortune and a ghost, between survival and righteousness. His heart felt like it would explode in his chest. What would you do in his place? Take the money and run, ensuring your child's safety, or risk everything to expose a terrible crime and fight for a justice that could cost you both your lives? For an hour after the black sedan disappeared, Liam remained motionless on the sagging porch, the lawyer's words slithering like serpents in the hollow chambers of his mind. Accidents happen. The quiet threat was louder than a gunshot, a poison that paralyzed him from the inside out. His heart, which had been a frantic drum, now beat with a slow, heavy dread. The $50,000, once a shimmering mirage of salvation, now felt like 30 pieces of silver, the price of his daughter's life. He could feel the sun on his face, but a profound internal cold had settled deep in his bones, a chill that had nothing to do with the morning air. He looked at the shack, the tinderbox Vance had described, and saw flames. He pictured Maya's face, her innocent trust, and the nausea he had felt upon first arriving returned with suffocating force. The world had shrunk to a single, impossible choice, and every fiber of his being screamed that there was no right answer, only varying degrees of loss and terror. He was a fly caught in a web spun 50 years ago. The sound of Maya coughing inside the shack, a small dry hack from the mold-filled air, shattered his paralysis. It was a sound of suffering, a sound that cut through the complex moral dilemma with brutal simplicity. Justice for the dead was an abstract concept. His daughter's next breath was not. The shame of his great-uncle's crimes, the weight of the ledger, it all paled in comparison to the searing, primal terror of failing to protect his child. He felt a wave of self-loathing so intense it almost buckled his knees. How could he have even hesitated? How could he weigh a historical crime against the immediate Gimwao, monstrous threat hanging over Maya's head? He had to get her away from here, away from the shack, away from the woods, away from the reach of Alistair Thorne. But how? Vance's offer was a lie, a test. If he ran, they would find him. They would assume he had the ledger and they would hunt them down. He was trapped not by his conscience, but by the very knowledge he possessed. His desperate eyes fell on the old, creased map the lawyer had sent. He had studied it on the bus, memorizing the layout of his inherited prison. He remembered tracing the property lines, the names of creeks, and the faint, almost invisible dotted lines indicating older plots of land. He smoothed it out on the porch railing, his hands still trembling. Thorpe owned almost everything, vast swaths of land colored in a proprietary red. But there was one small square, a few miles to the west, that was left blank. It was labeled simply with a surname, Miller. The name was in the ledger, Silas Miller, one of the families who had refused to sell, who had somehow held on. A flicker of an idea, impossibly desperate, ignited in his mind. It was a long shot, a prayer whispered into a hurricane, but it was more than he had a moment ago. It was a direction. If Silas Miller, or his descendants, were still there, they might be the only people on earth who would understand. He wrapped the heavy ledger in their one spare blanket, securing it with twine, and stuffed it into a tattered backpack. It felt like strapping a bomb to his own back. "We're going for a walk, Sweet Pea," he told Maya, his voice a strained imitation of calm. He gave her the last of their water and a piece of bread he had saved. The journey was a brutal ordeal. The sun climbed higher, baking the dry earth and leaching the strength from his body. Every step was a fresh agony for his bad leg, the throbbing pain a constant, grinding reminder of his own frailty. He followed the dusty road, then cut across an open field, guided by the sun and the crumpled map. The wilderness that had felt so menacing now felt like their only cover. He constantly looked over his shoulder, his ears straining for the sound of an engine, his heart leaping at every snap of a twig. The backpack felt heavier with each step, not just with the weight of paper and leather, but with the burden of what it represented. After what felt like an eternity, through a haze of heat and pain, he saw it. A thin curl of smoke rising from behind a ridge. Hope, fragile and dangerous, fluttered in his chest. He pushed himself onward, his breath coming in ragged gasps. As he crested the ridge, he saw a small farmhouse nestled in a valley. Unlike his own inherited ruin, this place showed signs of life and stubborn perseverance. The house was old, the paint peeling, but the roof was solid. A neat vegetable garden grew beside it, rows of green defiant against the dry soil. A tired-looking pickup truck, at least 30 years old, was parked near a barn whose walls were patched but upright. This was a place of work, not of decay. It was a place where someone fought back against the entropy of time and poverty. A feeling of profound respect, mingled with his own shame, washed over him. He had stumbled into the last bastion of a forgotten war, the last holdout against the Thorpe Empire. As he and Maya approached, a figure emerged from the barn. He was an old man, bent with age, but not broken. He moved with the slow, deliberate economy of someone who had worked the same land his entire life. His face was a roadmap of wrinkles, his skin tanned to the color of worn leather by a lifetime of sun. He held a pitchfork, and he rested on it now, watching their approach with eyes that were a pale, startling blue. They were eyes that had seen too much, that held a deep, ingrained wariness. The man didn't speak, just watched them, his gaze sharp and assessing. Liam felt his throat tighten. He was a stranger, appearing out of nowhere with a child in tow, limping and covered in dust. He looked like what he was, a desperate man on the run. The silence stretched, broken only by the buzzing of flies and the distant caw of a crow. Liam felt like an intruder, a carrier of a plague, bringing his trouble to this man's doorstep. "Can I help you?" The old man's voice was a dry rasp, like stones grinding together. It was not an offer, but a challenge. Liam stopped a few yards away, trying to catch his breath. Maya hid behind his legs, intimidated by the stranger's stern demeanor. I'm looking for Mr. Miller. Silas Miller," Liam said, the name feeling momentous on his tongue. The old man's eyes narrowed slightly. "You found him? Who's asking?" The suspicion in his voice was a palpable thing. Liam's mind raced. How could he explain? How could he bridge the gap of 50 years and make this man trust him? "My name is Liam O'Connell," he said, and he saw a flicker of something in the old man's eyes. A dark, ancient memory stirred. The name O'Connell was not welcome here. Liam knew it instantly. He had come to an enemy, not an ally. The hope that had carried him this far curdled in his stomach. He had made a terrible mistake. "O'Connell," Silas repeated, the name tasting like poison in his mouth. "I knew an O'Connell, Cormac. He was no friend to the folks around here." The old man's grip tightened on the pitchfork, his knuckles white. The air grew thick with a hostility that was half a century old, but felt as fresh as a new wound. Liam could feel the weight of his great-uncle's sins pressing down on him, a crushing inheritance of hatred. "He was my great-uncle," Liam admitted, his voice barely a whisper. "I inherited his place." Silas let out a short, bitter laugh that was devoid of humor. "Inherited it? Did you? I'm surprised there was anything left. I figured the devil would have come to collect that plot of land personally." The old man's gaze was hard, unforgiving. Liam felt a hot flush of shame creep up his neck. He was about to turn, to retreat back into the wilderness, to admit defeat, when he thought of Maya's cough, of the glint in Vance's sunglasses, of the smell of gasoline. Desperation was a key that unlocked a door he didn't know he had. "I know what he did," Liam blurted out, the words tumbling out in a rush. "I know what he and the Thorpes did to you, to everyone." Silas froze. The hard mask of his face shifted, the anger momentarily replaced by a flicker of stunned disbelief. He stared at Liam, his pale blue eyes boring into him, searching for the lie. "I found it," Liam continued, his voice gaining a desperate strength. "He kept a record, a ledger, it's all in there. The names, the threats, and everything." He swung the backpack from his shoulder and placed it on the dry, cracked earth between them. The gesture was a surrender, an offering, a plea. "I didn't know. I swear to you, I didn't know until last night." The world seemed to hold its breath. The only sound was the wind rustling the dry leaves in the garden, a lonely, whispering sound that seemed to carry the ghosts of the past. Silas stared at the backpack as if it were a venomous snake. His chest rose and fell with his ragged breathing. Slowly, deliberately, he leaned the pitchfork against the barn wall. He walked toward Liam, his old joints creaking, his eyes never leaving the pack. He knelt down, his movements stiff with age and emotion, and his gnarled, earth-stained fingers fumbled with the straps. Liam's heart pounded in his throat. This was it, the moment of truth. Silas pulled the blanket-wrapped ledger from the bag. He didn't need to unwrap it. He knew it by its weight, its shape. His hands, which had been steady moments before, now trembled violently. He ran a single, calloused finger over the blanket, tracing the outline of the book beneath. A sound escaped his lips, a dry, guttural sob that was ripped from the very depths of his soul, a sound of grief and rage held captive for 50 years, and now, suddenly, set free. The old man unwrapped the book with the reverence of a priest handling a sacred relic. The cracked leather cover seemed to suck the light from the afternoon sun. He opened it, and the dry pages whispered as they turned. His finger, thick and blunt, traced a line of script. "Miller, John and Sarah," he read aloud, his voice cracking. "My parents." He looked up at Liam, and the hard wall of his suspicion had crumbled, replaced by a raw, bottomless ocean of pain. "They threatened to flood our fields, said the new dam project upstream would have an accident. We had the best bottomland in the county." He turned another page. "Henderson. Their prize bull died, poisoned. The vet said it was natural. We all knew better. Each name was a ghost, a story, a personal wound that had never healed. The ledger was not a history book to Silas. It was a memorial to a massacre, and he was its last living survivor. He kept turning pages, his breathing growing more ragged. "It's all here," he whispered, his voice thick with a mixture of awe and horror. He wrote it all down. Every sin, every single tear. He finally closed the book, the sound a quiet finality in the still air. He looked at Liam, and for the first time Liam saw not an enemy but a fellow victim, a man trapped in the same dark story, albeit from a different side. "The Thorpes have been looking for this since the day your great-uncle disappeared," Silas said, his voice dropping low, conspiratorial. "They turned this county upside down for a decade, searched every inch of that property. But Cormac, he was a clever bastard. He knew how to hide things." The old man's eyes seemed to look through Liam, back into the mists of the past, to a time of fire and fear. A new, more terrifying piece of the puzzle was about to click into place. "There's something you don't know," Silas said, his gaze sharp and focused, pinning Liam to the spot. "Something that isn't in that book." He leaned closer, the smell of earth and old wool clinging to him. "Your great-uncle didn't just disappear. He was murdered." The word hung in the air, a physical weight. Liam felt the blood drain from his face. A cold, tingling numbness spread through his limbs. Cormac got greedy, or maybe he grew a conscience. It's hard to say. But he went to Alistair Thorne's father, old man Horatio, and told him he was going to the papers. He was going to expose the whole rotten scheme. He thought the ledger was his trump card, his get-out-of-jail-free card. Silas shook his head, a sad, grim motion. He misjudged the devil he was dealing with. The story, which was already a nightmare, descended into a new, more personal circle of hell. Liam's own blood was tied to this, not just by crime, but now by murder. Horatio Thorne met with him down by the old quarry, Silas continued, his voice a low, gravelly whisper. Told him he'd pay him off. Cormac went, thinking he was about to get rich. He was never seen again. They put out the story that he'd run off with a pile of money he'd skimmed. Nobody questioned it. He wasn't exactly a popular man. The old man's eyes were filled with a grim, ancient knowledge. "But my father saw Horatio's car coming back from the quarry that night. He saw the shovel and the pickaxe in the back. He knew, we all knew, but you couldn't prove it. You couldn't say a word against a Thorne. Not then, not now. They buried your great-uncle, and they've been looking for his confession ever since." Liam felt a wave of dizziness, his hand instinctively going to the wall of the barn to steady himself. The shack wasn't just a hiding place for evidence. It was a tombstone. Alistair Thorne. Silas spat the name like a curse. He's his father's son, just as ruthless, but smarter, more polished. He spent his entire adult life terrified that this book would surface. It's the one thing, the only thing, that ties his family's fortune directly to theft and murder. It's the foundation stone of their whole empire, and it's rotten to the core. He tapped the ledger with a gnarled finger. This book can destroy him, and he knows it. The puzzle was complete. The lawyer's visit, the thinly veiled threat, the generous offer. It wasn't about cleaning up an eyesore. It was the desperate, final move in a 50-year-old cover-up. Thorne wasn't just trying to acquire land. He was trying to acquire the one object on Earth that could send him to prison and turn his dynasty to dust. And Liam, by inheriting a worthless shack, had inadvertently become the keeper of that object. He was the one loose end Alistair Thorne had to snip. "When their lawyer came to you," Silas said, his eyes locking with Liam's, "and you didn't take the money. You signed your own death warrant and your daughter's." The old man's words were brutal, stripped of all comfort. To them, your hesitation isn't a man thinking it over. It's a man who knows. It's a man who has found the ledger. They won't make another offer, son. They won't send another lawyer. The next people they send will be coming to finish the job Horatio started 50 years ago. They'll burn that shack to the ground with you inside it, and that book will turn to ash right along with you. It's the perfect solution. No witnesses, no evidence. A cold, horrifying certainty washed over Liam. The lawyer's words about the dry wood and the tragedy of a fire weren't a threat. They were a statement of intent. They were a preview of the plan, and the clock was ticking. Panic, cold and sharp, seized Liam. "What do I do? Where can I go?" he asked, his voice cracking. He looked from Silas to Maya, who was watching them with wide, fearful eyes, sensing the terrible gravity of the conversation. "The police!" Silas let out another humorless laugh. "The local sheriff. He's been on the Thorne payroll since he was a deputy. You'd be handing the lamb over to the wolf. No, there's no running, Not from them. They have too much money, too much reach. The old man's face hardened, a grim determination settling into his ancient features. There's only one thing to do, you fight. But you don't fight them head-on. You fight them with the one thing they can't control, the truth. His words, spoken with the conviction of a lifetime of righteous anger, were a small, hard stone of hope in a sea of despair. It was a terrifying path, but it was the only one that led forward. "You and the girl will stay here tonight," Silas declared, his tone leaving no room for argument. "You'll be safer here than in that tinderbox. My dogs will let us know if anyone gets close." He gestured to two large, shaggy farm dogs lying in the shade of the porch. "First thing in the morning, I'm making a phone call. I have a number. A man I've been waiting to call for a very, very long time. An investigative journalist. The kind the Thorpes can't buy or bury." Liam felt a surge of gratitude so powerful it almost brought him to his knees. This old man, this stranger bound to him by a shared history of pain, was offering them a shield. For the first time since arriving in this cursed land, he was not entirely alone. The plan was terrifying, a leap of faith into a war against a giant, but it was a plan. It was a weapon. And as darkness began to fall, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Liam carried his sleeping daughter into the safety of the old farmhouse. The sun bled out of the sky, and a deep, oppressive darkness fell over the valley. Liam sat by the window in Silas's small, cluttered living room, the ledger resting on his lap like a lead weight. He couldn't relax. Every creak of the old house, every rustle of leaves in the wind, sent a jolt of adrenaline through him. He felt like a soldier in a trench, waiting for the inevitable assault. The house smelled of wood smoke, old books, and coffee, scents of a long life lived simply and honestly. It was a world away from the stench of rot and fear in the shack. Maya slept soundly in a small armchair, a worn quilt tucked around her, blissfully unaware of the storm gathering around them. Liam watched her, his heart a tight, aching knot. He had brought this danger to her now. His only purpose on earth was to see her through it. He felt the rough leather of the ledger beneath his fingers, the source of all their hope and all their peril. Hours crawled by. The silence of the countryside, once unnerving, had been a temporary comfort. But now it felt wrong, too quiet. Silas, who had been sitting in his own chair, slowly cleaning an old hunting rifle, suddenly went still. He lifted his head, his body tense, listening. "The crickets," he whispered, his voice a low rumble. "They've stopped." Liam strained his ears. The old man was right. The constant, chirping symphony of the night had fallen silent. A profound, unnatural stillness had descended upon the farm. Outside, one of the dogs let out a low, guttural growl, a sound of warning that vibrated through the floorboards. A cold fist of fear clenched in Liam's gut. They were here. The silence was not peace. It was the hush of prey sensing the approach of a predator. His breath hitched in his chest, and his eyes darted to the dark, empty windows, expecting to see a face staring back. Then he heard it. The same sound he'd heard that morning, but different. Not the smooth purr of a luxury car, but the rough, guttural rumble of a heavy-duty truck engine, coming not from the main road, but from the direction of his own shack. They weren't coming for him here, not yet. They were going to the tinderbox. They were going to execute the plan. The sound of the engine cut out, plunging the world back into a terrifying silence. Liam's mind raced. He had left their few belongings there, the suitcase and the coat Maya used as a bed. They would see the place was empty. They would know he had fled. They would know he had been warned. And they would come here next. The temporary safety of Silas's farm evaporated in an instant. It wasn't a fortress. It was just the next target. He had to go back. The thought was insane, suicidal, but a desperate, half-formed idea began to take shape in his mind. "They're at your place," Silas said, his voice grim. He stood up and walked to a cabinet, pulling out a box of shotgun shells. "They'll figure out you're not there. And they won't be polite about searching for you." Liam's heart hammered against his ribs. "I have to go back," he said, the words tasting like madness. "Silas, I have to get the ledger out of here. If they come here and find it—" He didn't need to finish the sentence. The ledger was a magnet for violence. Keeping it here would put the old man directly in the line of fire. "It's the only thing they want. If I can lead them away, draw them off." It was a wild, desperate gamble. Silas looked at him, his ancient eyes weighing the terrible calculus of their situation. He saw the desperate resolve on Liam's face. "The woods," Silas said, nodding slowly. "If you can make it to the old logging trail north of your shack, you might have a chance, but you have to be quick. They won't take long." Leaving a sleeping Maya in Silas's care was the hardest thing Liam had ever done. The thought of leaving her side tore him apart, but the thought of the violence finding her here was worse. He tucked the heavy ledger inside his jacket, the book pressing cold against his ribs. "I'll be back for her," he promised, his voice thick with emotion. "You just make that call," he told Silas. The old man gave a single, solemn nod, the hunting rifle held loosely in his hands. Liam slipped out the back door and into the pitch-black night. He moved as fast as his broken body would allow, his limp a painful, clumsy rhythm on the uneven ground. The moon was a sliver, providing almost no light. He ran on instinct and memory, his lungs burning, his hips screaming with every jarring step. The night air was cold and sharp, and it tasted of fear. He was running back towards the fire, back towards the monsters. As he got closer, a new smell drifted through the trees, cutting through the scent of pine and damp earth. It was a sharp, chemical odor, acrid and unmistakable. Gasoline. The scent made his stomach clench and his skin crawl. They were already at work. The threat was no longer a phantom in his mind. It was a physical presence in the air he was breathing. He slowed his pace, moving from tree to tree, his heart pounding a frantic tattoo against his sternum. He could see the shack now, a dark, skeletal shape against the slightly less black sky, and he saw them, two large, hulking silhouettes moving around the perimeter of the building. They were methodical, silent, their movements efficient and predatory. They were not just thugs, they were professionals. This was an execution, a cold, calculated erasure of a problem. His problem. He crept closer, his breath held tight in his chest, hiding behind the gnarled trunk of an ancient oak tree. The moonlight glinted off something metal, a gasoline can. One of the men was splashing liquid liberally along the base of the rotten wooden walls, the sound a soft, sinister hiss. The fumes were thick now, overpowering, making his eyes water. He watched in frozen horror as the man doused the area right below the window of the corner where Maya slept, the small space she had tried to make her own. A white-hot, volcanic rage surged through Liam, so powerful it almost made him cry out. They were going to burn his daughter's bed. They were going to burn the memory of her. The absolute, casual evil of the act was more terrifying than any direct threat. They weren't just destroying a building. They were incinerating a life, a history, with the same detached indifference one would use to spray for insects. Liam knew he had only seconds. The second man was pulling something from his pocket, a lighter. The small, metallic click as he flicked it open was like a cannon shot in the silence. A tiny, dancing flame appeared in the darkness, a demonic star promising a fiery apocalypse. In that instant, Liam's mind, the mind of a carpenter, saw not a shack, but a structure. He knew its weaknesses, its points of failure. He had cursed the rot, the decay, but now it was his only weapon, his only chance. There was no time for a plan, only for action. The memory of Vance's voice, the smell of gasoline, the sight of that tiny flame, it all coalesced into a single, explosive imperative: survive. He abandoned his hiding spot and sprinted, not away from the shack, but towards it, his body screaming in protest, his mind a vortex of terror and adrenaline. He was no longer a victim. He was a father fighting back. He burst from the tree line and ran straight for the back of the shack, the side opposite the two men. His sudden appearance, a frantic, limping shadow in the moonlight, took them by complete surprise. A sharp, guttural shout of alarm cut through the night. "Hey!" But Liam didn't stop. He knew this wall. He had examined it, felt the soft, pulpy wood where water damage was worst, near the ground. He had cursed it as another repair he couldn't make. Now, it was his door. He reached the wall just as he heard the whoosh of igniting fumes from the front of the house. An orange glow flickered, painting the trees in hellish light. Without hesitating, Liam turned his back to the wall, lifted his good leg, and drove his heel into the rotten planks with all the force his exhausted body could muster. The wood didn't just splinter. It exploded outwards with a wet, tearing crunch, the rotten timbers giving way like sodden cardboard. A dark, jagged hole opened into the shack. He scrambled through, the the splintered wood tearing at his clothes and skin. Inside, the shack was already filling with a pale orange light from the front. The smell of smoke was thick and acrid, catching in the back of his throat. He could hear the men shouting outside, their voices a confused, angry roar. He didn't have the ledger. He had left it with Silas. His insane plan had changed in a heartbeat. It was no longer about drawing them away. It was about creating a diversion. He grabbed the rickety chair, the only piece of furniture, and hurled it through the front window. The sound of shattering glass a satisfying counterpoint to the crackle of the growing fire. "Fire! Help!" he screamed at the top of his lungs, his voice raw with real and feigned panic. He wanted to create chaos, to make them think he was trapped, to buy Silas the precious minutes he needed to make his call. He coughed, the smoke thickening, burning his lungs. The heat was already becoming intense. The fire was spreading with terrifying speed. The old, dry wood and gasoline, a perfect combination for a massive conflagration. He heard the men running around the side of the house, their heavy footsteps thudding on the hard earth. He couldn't go back out the way he came. He looked around frantically. His eyes landed on the secret room, the wall he had so carefully repaired. It was his only chance. He threw his shoulder against the planks he had nailed up. They groaned, but held. He slammed against them again, pain shooting through his shoulder, his desperation giving him a strength he didn't know he possessed. On the third impact, the nails ripped free with a piercing screech, and the planks gave way. He stumbled into the small, dusty chamber, the last unburned part of his cursed inheritance. The air was clean still, a pocket of silence in the growing inferno. He pushed the hidden door shut, just as the main room of the shack became fully engulfed in a roaring, blinding orange fury. He could hear the fire now, a living, breathing monster with a voice like a jet engine, consuming everything. The heat was immense, even through the wooden door. The small, dark room was a temporary sanctuary, an oven slowly heating up. He could hear the men shouting outside, confused, arguing. They thought he was trapped in the main fire, a problem solving itself. He pressed his ear to the thin exterior wall of the secret chamber, listening. His heart was a wild animal trapped in his chest. Sweat poured down his face and stinging his eyes. The smell of burning pine and something else, something chemical and foul, began to seep through the cracks. He was trapped, but he was alive, and he had bought time. Now all he could do was wait and pray that Silas's phone call had been answered. The air in the tiny chamber was a furnace. Heat radiated through the crude wooden door, so intense it felt like it was searing his lungs with every scorching breath he dragged into his chest. Liam pressed his face to the cool, damp earth of the floor, gasping, his body drenched in a sweat that felt like it was steaming off his skin. The roar of the fire was an all-consuming monster, a physical presence that vibrated through his very bones, threatening to shake him apart. He could smell the acrid stench of his own singed hair mixing with the foul chemical smell of burning wood. This was it, he thought, a final wave of despair washing over him. He was going to be baked alive in his great-uncle's hidden tomb. But then a new sound cut through the inferno. It was faint at first, a high, thin wail that grew steadily stronger, more insistent. Sirens, not one, but a whole chorus of rising and falling cries that sliced through the night. It was the most beautiful and terrifying thing he had ever heard, hope and judgment arriving at once. He heard the crunch of heavy tires on gravel, the slamming of doors, and shouted commands that cut through the roar of the flames with sharp authority. The sound of powerful water hoses hitting the blaze was a violent hiss, a battle between elements. Liam pushed himself up, his muscles trembling with exhaustion, and began to beat his fist against the interior wall of his small prison. "Here," he croaked, his voice a raw, broken thing, barely audible over the chaos. "I'm in here." He heard footsteps nearby, the heavy thud of boots. "We got survivors!" a voice yelled. "Or what's left of 'em! Bring the axe!" The heat was unbearable, the wood around him groaning as if in its death throes. A sudden, violent crack echoed beside him as the axe bit deep into the exterior wall. Another swing and then another, each impact a shock wave that rattled his teeth. He felt the structure around him shudder. The fire was on one side, salvation was on the other, and he was trapped in the violent, splintering space between them. His heart felt like it would burst. With a final, explosive crash, a section of the wall collapsed inward, and a stream of cool, clean night air flooded the chamber. It was the most glorious sensation Liam had ever felt. He fell through the opening, coughing, hacking, his lungs burning as they took in the fresh oxygen. A firefighter in heavy gear grabbed him, pulling him away from the inferno. Through the smoke and flashing red and blue lights, he saw them. The two thugs, faces sullen and defeated, were already in handcuffs, being pushed into the back of a police car, and standing near the tree line, illuminated by the headlights of a sedan, was Silas. The old man was talking animatedly to a younger man in a rumpled suit who was scribbling furiously in a notepad. The journalist? It was real. A wave of relief, so powerful it was dizzying, washed over Liam. His legs gave out, and he collapsed onto the damp grass. The nightmare finally, blessedly, beginning to end. The physical pain was immense, but it was a distant echo to the profound emotional release. Days later, sitting in Silas's warm kitchen, the smell of strong coffee thick in the air, Liam watched the story unfold on a small television. The face of the journalist, a man named Ben Carter, was on every national news channel. The screen showed the charred, skeletal ruins of the shack, a stark black scar on the landscape. Then, the image changed to a close-up of the ledger, its scorched edges visible inside a clear evidence bag. Carter's voice was steady, authoritative, as he detailed the 50-year conspiracy, the land grab, the lithium, the murder of Cormac O'Connell. He spoke of the irrefutable proof held within the book and the corroborating testimony of the last survivor, Silas Miller. For the first time, Liam felt the immense weight of the secret he had carried lift completely from his shoulders. It was no longer his burden to bear alone. It belonged to the world now. He felt a tear trace a path through the soot still smudged on his cheek. It wasn't a tear of sorrow, but of liberation. The news report cut to a live feed. A fleet of black artificial-looking government cars had surrounded the gleaming glass and steel tower of the Thorpe Mining Corporation headquarters. The camera zoomed in on the entrance. Alistair Thorne, looking elegant and composed even in crisis, emerged, flanked by his lawyers. He projected an aura of untouchable power, his face a mask of cold indignation. But the mask cracked as two federal marshals stepped forward. One of them produced a pair of handcuffs. The sharp metallic click as they were snapped onto Thorne's wrists was a sound that echoed across 50 years of silence and injustice. It was the sound of a dynasty beginning to crumble. Watching the screen, Liam felt not triumph, but a quiet, profound sense of rightness. The phantom of Alistair Thorne, the man who had haunted his every waking thought, was finally just a man in handcuffs, his power broken by a truth written in a dusty old book. A great, shuddering breath escaped Liam's lips. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic for the Thorpe empire. The corporation's assets were frozen by federal order. The stock price plummeted into oblivion. Ben Carter's reporting won national awards, and his series, titled The Hollis Creek Ledger, became a media sensation. A prestigious human rights law firm in the city announced it was launching a massive class-action lawsuit on behalf of the dozens of families who had been defrauded and terrorized, their names now public record. Descendants from all over the country began to come forward, sharing stories passed down through generations of sudden hardship and inexplicable ruin. Silas became an unlikely hero, his quiet dignity and unshakable memory giving a human face to the legal proceedings. Liam, sitting beside him during a deposition, placed a hand on the old man's shoulder as he wept, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming catharsis of seeing justice, so long denied, finally dawn. Months turned into a year of legal battles, but the outcome was never in doubt. The ledger was a perfect confession, and Thorne's empire was built on a foundation of sand. A landmark settlement was reached. The bulk of the money was used to create a trust for the descendants of the victimized families, a permanent restitution for the generations of stolen wealth. As the owner of the property where the evidence was found, and the direct descendant of the man whose secret confession had brought everything to light, a substantial portion of the settlement was awarded directly to Liam O'Connell. The number E, relayed to him by a lawyer, was so large it seemed to belong to another language, another reality. He remembered sitting at his kitchen table, counting out his last $217. The memory felt like a story about someone else. The gnawing ache of hunger, the icy grip of fear, they were ghosts of a life that was no longer his. He felt a deep, profound peace settle over his soul. 2 years later, The land was unrecognizable. Where the charred ruin of the shack once stood, there was now a beautiful, sturdy home crafted from cedar and pine. The air no longer smelled of rot and decay, but of fresh-cut grass, blooming wildflowers, and the faint, pleasant aroma of sawdust. Liam stood on the wide porch, a mug of hot coffee in his hands. His hip, repaired by the best surgeons, ached only on the coldest days. He watched Maya, now a happy, vibrant 9-year-old, laughing as she soared back and forth on a rope swing he had hung from the strong branches of the ancient oak tree. The isolation that had once been a prison now felt like a sanctuary, a peaceful haven he had built with his own 2 hands. The silence was no longer menacing. It was filled with the sounds of life, the buzz of bees, the song of birds, and the joyful shouts of his daughter. He felt a deep, resonant gratitude, a feeling so warm and powerful it seemed to fill every empty space inside him. He walked from the porch into his workshop, a large, light-filled barn that he had designed and built himself. The hum of a state-of-the-art lathe replaced the grim, percussive sound of his old limp. He ran his hand over the smooth, polished surface of a cherry-wood bowl he was turning. The scent of the wood was rich and sweet. He was a carpenter again, not just by trade, but in his soul. He was creating, not just surviving. He was whole. Later that evening, he stood in a warm, bright kitchen pulling a roasted chicken from the oven. The smell was magnificent, a world away from the cold cans of beans that had been their first meals here. The dinner table was set for 3, himself, Maya, and Silas, who was now a permanent and beloved fixture in their new life. The house was filled with warmth and the promise of a good meal, a stark, defiant contrast to the cold, hungry despair that had almost consumed them in this very same spot. Liam carved the chicken, placing generous portions on each plate. Maya's laughter filled the room as she told a story about her day at school, a life of normalcy and opportunity that he had once believed was lost forever. He looked at her bright, healthy face, then at Silas, whose weathered features were softened by a gentle smile. His heart swelled with a love and gratitude so profound it brought tears to his eyes. He had kept his promise to Sarah. He had taken care of their girl. On this land that was once the source of a dark and violent secret, he had built a future of peace, security, and redemption. The ghosts of the past had been laid to rest, replaced by the vibrant pulse of a new beginning. Stories like Liam's remind us that even in the deepest darkness, courage and truth can be a guiding light. If you were moved by his journey from despair to redemption, subscribe to our channel for more stories of hidden truths and unexpected triumphs.